Hey guys, welcome to Mad Scientist Barbecue. I'm Jeremy Yoder. I'm here with Will Stafford from Sam Jones Barbecue, and he's going to teach me how to cook a whole hog. All right, well, I know you cook like 70,000 pounds of hog each year at your restaurants here. Why is this one in 6 pieces? I thought this is whole hog.
Yeah, so typically we cook the whole hog. This year at Windy City Smokeout, for health temp reasons or some sort of reasons, they want us to cut it up. So here, as you see, we got 6 different pieces. We got the ham, the middle, and then we got the shoulder. We just make it work, and it works out. My man here's tried some, and he said it's good.
Okay, it blew my mind. I've eaten lots of barbecue. I've never had anything quite like this. And so I was like, I have to ask them to do a video. And Will was like, sure, I'll do it with you. So thank you so much. But let's get into the process of how you do this. So this just got put on like a minute ago.
Yep, so it's still cold.
So you haven't injected it, you haven't seasoned it, you haven't done any of that stuff,
yeah,
right?
so we're pretty simple. We just do a salt and water base on the skin. We kind of dry the skin out. It takes the moisture out of the skin.
The salt does?
Salt does, yep.
Okay.
And it'll crisp it up.
And if you haven't had that crispy skin, it is unbelievable.
It's to die for.
That's the difference between this pulled pork and other pulled pork. It's unreal.
We got it on the grill here. We're laying flat. We got rib side down.
Yeah.
We'll cook it like this for about 6 hours, and then we'll flip it over. Here in just a second, I'm gonna salt the skin, put a water base down so the salt sticks to it, and then I'll salt it pretty heavy. About 1 cylinder per hog.
Okay, and this hog weighs about 200 pounds?
Yep, this is roughly 190, 200 pounds.
Okay.
You can cook whatever size hog you want for the amount of people. Roughly, this will feed 100, 150 people.
Okay.
So at your house, you can get you a small little pig and throw it on, and you'll be good to go.
Awesome.
A little generous. Then we got your table salt, just regular table salt.
Not kosher salt.
No kosher salt, just regular table salt.
I guess kosher salt for a whole hog doesn't match.
Yep, it don't do
right?
generous. Yep. Put a nice little snow blanket on it of salt.
Amazing.
There you go. Got your nice little salt blanket on there.
Yeah. So
that's the first step.
All right. So this is so that it draws water out of the skin, makes it nice and crispy, so you get that crunch along with all the soft, tender meat.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So what you do? You have to put salt on it, so it really just like settles into the skin. It really brings the aromas out.
Oh God.
We slowly cook. You boys want to say anything else? Because I'm a professional now.
Back to live action. Okay, so they scald the pig to remove the hair.
Yep.
And then that way we can eat the skin. It's going to taste delicious and amazing. So after you've salted it, do you let it sit or you straight into cooking?
Yeah, so we leave it just like this. So next step, we'll shut the lid, and then we'll get it fired up and get it smoking and going.
Okay. And what you guys do is different than what I'm used to. So I'm used to burning whole logs. What you guys have is just a crazy nuclear hot burn barrel over there.
Right.
And you let the wood burn down into coals, then you use that.
Yeah, so essentially we're using the barrel to make our charcoal.
Right.
So we take the wood, we use oak wood. Most people just use whatever's like origin to their region.
Right.
So oak wood is what's tradition around eastern North Carolina.
Right.
There's a lot of it. You want to use a hardwood.
Right.
Whether it's hickory, oak, whatever. So you can use some pecan, yeah. You don't want to use pine wood or none of that.
Definitely
the
not.
smell of it is horrible. So that's what we use. So we burn the wood down, then we'll put the coals underneath the hog.
Okay, so my question is, why not just get bags of charcoal and use that instead? Why go through the trouble of burning down the wood?
Yeah, so the art of using just wood is dying. I mean, as most people know, there's no traditional barbecue left, hardly left at all. So we're trying to keep the tradition going, and the smoke flavor from the wood is none other.
There's no replacement for a real fire.
No, I mean, there really ain't from the smoke, and that's why we burn it in the barrel to kind of burn it down some and get rid of some of that carbon smoke before we put it in.
Right, so you have a clean smoke flavor.
Clean smoke. If you put just logs in there, it would burn kind of raw. And
so there's not enough oxygen getting in there to burn a clean fire. That's why those big pits over there, the 1,000-gallon pits, they're moving air through there like crazy.
Yep.
This one you burn it down to coal, so you don't have to do that with all.
Yeah,
the
the log itself would almost go out.
Yeah.
And so that's what you don't want, because then it defeats the whole purpose.
Okay. So you close this down, and then what temperature do you run at?
Yeah, so roughly we run at about 275, 250 to 275.
Okay.
If you cook it straight through, about 14 hours.
About 14 hours.
Yep.
And so this is an expensive pit. If somebody wants to do this at home, how could they do that?
Right, so I mean, for 75 years we've been using block pits, and so you just take cinder block pits and build you a pit with some rebar, put you a hog on it, and for a couple $100 you got a pit.
Well, how would they learn how to do that?
Yeah, so we got a book out. It's called Whole Hog Barbecue. You get it on Amazon, wherever you want to online, and it'll teach you how to build the pit, build the burn barrel, cut everything. A couple $100, you're in business.
Wow. So for a couple $100 and the price of a hog, somebody can get into this.
Yeah, in your backyard. You don't have to have some fancy smoker, some expensive pit that says I'm the best at barbecue or whatever. You just got your old school cinder block pits.
Right. So when this started, people weren't spending $20,000 to get a smoker.
No.
How did it start?
Yeah, so barbecue was just something cheap. People had hogs on their farm, and they would use, and they would at the end of every growing season, they would kill the hog to feed the workers, the family, the neighborhood. And it was kind of a bring the neighborhood together, and it's a pig picking. That's when pig picking started.
Oh.
So you hear always people say, I'm gonna go to a pig pick, and that's when it initially started.
I see.
Yep.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't want to keep you from getting this thing cooking any longer. So we'll shut this down, run it at 250 to 275.
Right. Yep.
And then how long till the next step?
Yeah. So from here, we'll get some coals burned down, and then we'll get the shovel and get them up, and we'll put them under the hog and get it going.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Yep.
Thanks, Will. This
Yep.
is so cool.
Yeah,
I love
man.
this, I love this. I'm always the one teaching about barbecue. When I can learn about it,
Yeah.
it's
intriguing.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
So from here, we'll pretty much just get some coals. We got some coals burned down, and we'll just shovel them in.
Yeah.
Look at this guy.
Movie star right here.
I
Will
talked to
Stafford.
your wife earlier, and I was like, he's being recorded right now. He's busy.
Cool.
Yep, so this is the next process. So we got the hog on the grill, got it going, got salted down water on the skin. So now the next process, we'll take this burn barrel, we got the wood in there, we got it going, and we got charcoal made out of natural wood.
Right.
So we just made our own charcoal. So now the process is just get some coals and
Sure.
we'll go fire it up.
And the book tells you how to do this too.
Yep, yep.
Need me to open this?
Yeah, great.
Okay, whoop.
Barbecue's always better when you got a partner over
There
here
you go.
to help you out.
Help you out, hang out with you, drink some beer with you.
Yep, so we'll
All
go
right.
get another one. It takes a decent amount, so we'll get it. We'll put a couple coals in there, and we'll get it going. Then we'll look at these gauges as they come up. It'll take a little while. At home, if you want to make it a little easier on yourself, you can put a little Kingsford to get the grill hot at first,
Right.
and then finish it off with wood.
Okay.
With natural wood, it takes a while to get it up to temp.
Okay.
Probably an hour.
But you're about the final product being the best possible.
Yep.
That's why you're using natural wood,
Yep.
not Kingsford.
Yeah, I mean, anybody can throw some charcoal in a smoker or a grill at your house and cook some hot dogs and hamburgers, but the process of burning wood down and making your own charcoal is just irreplaceable. I mean, it really is. So we try and keep it old school. You can see, it's already coming up just by those 2 shovels.
Right.
We got a little smoke coming off. We got the vents up top. We just open the vents wide open and let it flow.
Okay.
Some people try and maneuver the vents and do all this and that. We just let it roll.
So, you're like a whole hog evangelist to me,
Right.
Because I've had whole hog once before.
Right.
They had a pig cooker. They just filled it with charcoal.
Yeah.
Right. I tasted it. It was just bland.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of flavor. I tasted what you guys had. I was super skeptical,
Right.
and then it blew my mind. So,
Yeah.
is the flavor because of how you do the cooking? Is it because of the hardwood that you burn down? Like, where does that flavor come from?
Yeah, so all the smoke flavor comes from the wood. So if you do gas or whatever else you may do, it's not bad, but it just don't have the smoke flavor. So that's why we take the extra step, burn the wood down, and shovel the coals in, and for the whole process you get that smoke flavor. That's what makes the biggest difference.
Unbelievable. Also, you have a deflector plate in there.
Yep.
But the grease still drips down into the coal pan.
Yep.
So does that add more flavor, or is
Yeah,
it
so
makes no difference?
So halfway through you'll start seeing a lot of smoke coming out of these cookers, and it's from where the grease is dripping down, and it'll run in those coal pans. And when the coals and that grease hit, it just smokes a lot. So that definitely adds some flavor to it. It don't hurt for sure.
Yeah. So you're gonna go like this for a few hours.
Yep.
Then how do you know when to flip it over?
Yeah, so roughly about 5 hours, and we'll flip it over. You can look at it. If you have a thermopan at your house, you can temp it.
Thermopan?
Approximately 120 degrees, we'll flip it over, and then we'll finish it off. So you cook it about 5 hours, flip it over, about 120 degrees, and you finish it off for another, 4 or 5 hours, just depending on the size of your hog. Smaller hog take less time, less fat. Bigger hogs, 200 pounds, take a little bit longer.
And if you have a thermopan, what temperature are you gonna look for in the pig to make sure it's done and it's tender?
Right, yeah. So if you're cooking it all the way through, you want to cook it roughly 185, 190. Shoulders, hams, a little bit more in your shoulders, a little bit less in the hams. Hams dry out a little bit quicker. So we try and cook it roughly 185 in that average.
Why a whole hog instead of like pork butts? Because
Yeah.
I've cooked thousands of pounds of pork butts in my life, like many thousands of pounds. And I don't think I've ever cooked one that's as good as this stuff.
Yeah, so with the pork butt, you just got the butt of the hog. So you really don't have all the mixture. So we're cooking a whole hog here. So we cook the head, the center, which is the belly of the hog, and then the hams. The ham's a little bit drier, and then we take it all and mix it together. So when you mix it all together, you get the fat of the shoulder and the belly, and then you mix it in with the hams, and that's when you get all the whole goodness.
It's magic, man.
Yeah.
It's magic you guys do.
Yeah. So this is the way we do it on the road. At home at the original restaurant Skylight Inn, we use cinder block pits, which is the old school way of doing it.
Oh, yeah.
It's been done that way for a long, long time, and it's a cheaper, efficient way to do it. There's no heat shield like there is in this grill, so you fire around the edges of the hog. So if you're at home and you're trying this, you're going to fire and make a square around the hog, versus here we have the heat shield, so we fire directly under it. You do that at home, won't be long, the bellies and the ribs of your hog will be black. So try just to fire around the outside of the hog.
That's so smart.
Yep.
So you still get the flavor.
You still get the flavor, just not the burn.
Do you get the crispy skin still?
Yep, so at home, the whole process is the same. On here we have a rotisserie that you can flip it with a rotisserie. At home, you got 2 guys with some gloves on, and you pull the hog back to you and you roll it over, and you do it by hand. It works. It's a little harder, but it all works.
All right, so when it's done, does it need a rest time, or it just goes piping hot, you go chop it up?
No, so once we finish this off, if you cook it straight through, we'll finish it off, get about 185, 190. Better have you some good chopping gloves on, because your hands will quickly feel it. And just go ahead and go start chopping. There's no really rest time per se on it.
So you just remove the bones and then chop it up, skin and all? Or is there any part that you just toss?
No, so gristle, bones, stuff like that, we'll take out of the hog, throw away. The skin will take that, the whole sheet of skin, and lay it down and put a little meat in it and chop that up, kind of like real small pieces. So if you're at home, everybody at your house, when they eat the barbecue, they're getting a bite of skin in every bite of the sandwich.
It's unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
It's so good. Okay, so it's over there. You're chopping it up, but you've only salted the skin. What else do you add to it?
Yeah, so once we pull it off the grill, we'll put some Texas Pete, vinegar, salt, and pepper. We don't overdo it, just take away the smoke flavor and the hard work that was put into it.
Right.
The last thing anybody wants to do is this guy can tell you cook something for 14, 16 hours, the last thing you want to do is drown it with sauce or anything, really. So we try not to overdo it.
100%. So the way you guys season this, the way you add flavor, it only complements the pork.
Yep.
Instead of covering it. A lot of people make a pulled pork sandwich and they load it up with sauce because they're trying to cover up their bad job of cooking the food. You guys, you're like, this is going to kiss it with a little flavor of the vinegar, a little flavor of the hot sauce, and it's an explosion of flavor and texture.
Right.
That's one of the biggest things that's different about what you do versus what I've done.
Right.
So pork butts, there's no difference in texture.
Yep.
It's all soft, kind of mushy.
Yep.
But you guys, it's the meat is soft, it's packed with juice,
Right.
and there's not a dry bite that you guys make. And you have the texture of that crispy skin that has a flavor component that you can't replicate any other way.
Yeah, and then that vinegar base, it's a vinegar-based barbecue, so then we'll take the slaw, we got a sweet coleslaw, and we'll top it on the sandwich, and that adds just another extreme to the barbecue sandwich by taking that sweet slaw and putting it on top.
So you have tangy from the vinegar, you have the sweet slaw, you have a little bit of crunch from the skin, then crunch from the slaw too, then you have the bun that holds it all together. It's probably the best sandwich I've ever eaten in my life.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right.
You want slaw on it?
Yeah. All right, Will, you made me the sandwich. It looks incredible, but you saved me a piece of skin.
Yep, good old piece of crunchy skin.
It's as good as barbecue gets. So I'm gonna taste this first and then try the sandwich.
It's like
If
a
you love
potato
bacon,
chip.
If you love bacon, this is like bacon on steroids. It is unreal. And there are bits of skin all in the meat that's been chopped up in the sandwich. So now we gotta try out the sandwich. Man,
You got a great combination of everything.
everything.
Yeah. You got a nice potato bun, you got the sweet slaw, the whole hog, and you got the vinegar base, and then you got to top it all off the pork skins. Most people just trash the pork skins. We chop it up and mix it in and adds a crunch to every bite.
It's unbelievable. And then the hot sauce, you get a little bit of spicy. Nothing crazy, but you get a little bit of that heat.
Yeah.
And it's just like the perfect balance of everything you want in a sandwich.
Yep.
So thank you so much. You want a bite? All right, Bert. Here you go. Dude, it's so good. Yep. We got Slab, we got Truth. You guys are stealing all the pork sandwiches. That's the last sandwich.
That's the last one?
Dude, it's so good.
It's so good.
Right?
Yeah, very, very good.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Destroyed it.
No, go for it. Go for it.
That was amazing.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Got people fighting over it.
No, really. This is the last sandwich. Thunderstruck. So I'm here with Sam Jones of Sam Jones Barbecue. Your food is incredible. The stuff you make is lights out amazing. So how did this all start and how did it become the big thing that it is now?
My granddaddy opened our original restaurant in 1947.
Wow.
And so I'm third generation at that restaurant. I'm the fourth in the family to sell whole hog barbecue to the public. And we were fortunate to be able to open Sam Jones Barbecue in 2015. And the idea behind that was the original restaurant is so original that it would be a huge mistake to try to duplicate it.
Right.
And so Sam Jones Barbecue is kind of, we flew from the mothership of Skylight Inn is how we approached it. And so my name is kind of the tie that ties the two together. Unfortunately, I didn't want it to be, but it's worked over the years that we complement each other. You know, I'm still involved with Skylight. I have an operating business partner at Sam Jones Barbecue that worked with us at Skylight in his youth. He and I have been friends forever, and he kind of is the. I always say I might be the spirit of the restaurant. He's the backbone.
I see.
That handles the grind.
Right.
And unfortunately, we're so busy and short of help, he couldn't be here this year. He normally is here every year, and so we've been very fortunate that so many times, especially in food, you have to move to a major market to chase your dream.
Right.
You know, I get to do what we do. Our restaurants are somewhat of a destination component to them, and so I get to come do things like this, and my flight always carries me back home.
Yeah. So, like, what's in the future for Sam Jones Barbecue? You guys gonna switch to propane?
I always say gas is what should deliver the meat, not cook it.
Correct. You are right. You are right.
And so that's one thing that's going to always be a mainstay. For as much as we grow, there's going to always be a smokehouse with whole hogs being cooked over wood.
That's awesome.
That's where we came from, and I always say that if you ever forget from where it was you came, you'll never fully appreciate where it is you are.
That's good.
And so
you should put that on a t-shirt.
Don't put corners on the wheel that's spinning.
Right.
It works.
Right.
And so the same thing that my family did in the 1920s and 30s is exactly what we're doing here in Chicago in 2021.
Amazing.
And people stand in line for an hour to get it.
Yeah. So you have the heritage of doing whole hog barbecue, and you're introducing people who probably never had a real, wood-fired whole hog cooked.
Barbecue done correctly is very primitive, unbastardized.
Right.
So as little human interaction as can happen, the better the barbecue is going to be.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
And so literally, I mean, this is meat, fire, and man. That's it.
Yeah. So if people want to go to your restaurant or they want to follow you on social media, how do they get into contact with you or find out where to go?
SkylightInBarbecue.com, SamJonesBarbecue.com, at Sam Jones Barbecue on Instagram. My personal is at SamJones1980 on Instagram. Follow us for the ride. Come visit us in North Carolina. Once upon a time we did what we had to do to build our brand. And there ain't an arrogant bone in my body. But last year taught me that you can stay at home a little more than you thought you could before. That you don't have to go to the grind quite like you used to. And we were very fortunate that last year was actually a good year for us.
That's awesome.
We didn't have to lay anybody off. The good Lord blessed us. And it opened my eyes that I don't have to watch my kids grow up on FaceTime.
Right.
I can be at home.
Right. Yeah, that's very valuable. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Enjoyed it.
If this is interesting to you guys, I'm going to link that book in the description below. Check out Sam Jones Barbecue. They do incredible stuff. If you ever get the chance to go, you owe it to yourself to go. It is unbelievably good. If you guys enjoyed the video, thank you for watching. You can like the video down below. You can also subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this content. And you can also follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Mad Scientist Barbecue. I'll see you next time.